Internet baby.
This video made for entertainment and educational purposes only. I have no intention to hurt or damage anybody's feelings. I repeat, this video is not meant to disrespect anyone. Guys, how MLM scammed you, and how bad it was. I met a really awesome girl in a coffee shop who I connected with right away. I have a very busy life, and I'm hugely ambitious, so with my book and coffee in hand it was a surprise to meet someone so offhandedly who was also so outgoing, and had tons of personality. I was reading a book about behavioral economics and she asked what it was about. We chatted about philosophy and psychology for about an hour and bonded on so many deep and powerful topics. We met up again for coffee a week or so later, and had a great chat. She loosely mentioned she was an entrepreneur and going to retire soon. She was only 31 and I seemed puzzled by that. I mean, early retirement happens, but she wasn't exactly living a lifestyle consistent with someone who was making vast amounts of money. She also wasn't being particularly clear about what her business exactly was. Her work schedule seemed kinda all over the place, and she had tons of free time, which is not normal for someone running their own business. I was skeptical, but still enjoyed making a new friend in town. She calls me up about 8 days later, and invites me to a speaking event. The connection was kind of rough as she was using cheap Bluetooth headphones, so I wasn't quite able to catch everything she said. What I heard was that there was a private speaking event downtown planned for a small group of high-profile, local entrepreneurs who all just come together and talk about their progress in their local businesses. She asked if I had business connections in town. I said that I did, and she was like, "Oh, you probably haven't met these people before." I'd attended an event recently for artists, which was just a motivational get-together for those in town who like to create. It was a great way of building community and sharing stories and starting up collaborative projects, and I assumed they were the same thing. Nope. What a dumb move on my part. On the day of the event I arrive at a super shitty apartment building that is not located downtown. Rather, it's behind a supermarket just off the main highway on the far edge of the city. Everyone heading in the doors is overly dressed up and immediately I know I've just been suckered into a MLM meeting. The apartment had been cleared of furniture, stunk of stale cigarettes, and everyone there seems so cheerful it physically hurts to talk to them. I sit for a moment in my chair feeling extremely uncomfortable, but then I think to myself, just own it. Pretend like you are fully invested in this as an entrepreneur meeting. Play dumb. I was a bit annoyed as I sat next to the girl who invited me, but I figured I might as well just have fun with it. She seems to know a ton of the people there, and I picked out about 5 confused-looking people who look like they were invited there by someone else. So I sit in the front row, diligently take mass amounts of notes in the meeting, and eagerly making eye contact with the enthusiastic speakers, a super fire couple who have everything they could have asked for and volunteer part-time, and own all sorts of property, and get to see their kids every day. It was so creepy, because it was almost like attending a gospel sermon, but instead of amen, random people in the audience just kept mumbling yes, totally, absolutely, amazing, yes, I can relate, and clapping when it wasn't necessarily, and saying oh wow, that's amazing, incredible. I took a look around the room at some points, and realized that people who worked for this couple were clearly very strategically placed all over the room, in order to make it seem like everyone was really amped about the presentation. Afterward, the speakers almost beelined for me. Apparently the girl I had become friends with had been working for them for over 5 years, so I knew she must be extremely experienced at recruiting. So with the sweetest, most ignorant smile on my face, I repeated back all the motivational bullshit they had offered me, and they lapped it up. When they asked me, "So what's the next step for you? Can you see yourself owning your own business?" I said, "Well, my part-time business has already really taken off, and you've all given me so much to think about. I'm inspired to keep at it, and take it full time." Suddenly their face shut down. "Oh, you already have a business? What a ridiculous reply." I said to them, "Well, yes, isn't this event for entrepreneurs who are looking for the next step and wanting to share their experience?" That's what I was told. Suddenly the girl I was with looked super embarrassed, and looked away awkwardly. I smiled sweetly at her in front of the super awesome successful couple and said, "Well, I'd best be going. Thanks so much for the invite. I think all the stuff I learned today has given me a new enthusiasm for continuing selling my work to people and finding my purpose. It's all about specializing and standing out right." She smiled weakly at me. The couple awkwardly looked away for someone else to speak to. I continued loudly, but with a more puzzled tone. But I was disappointed that more people I met tonight weren't forthcoming about what they do for work. I don't even know what the speakers did to create this amazing life for themselves. Dramatic pause, and that was the only downside. She cleared her throat and tucked some hair behind her ear. Oh, they might just be nervous sharing, but they all make a huge difference and are full of drive. They are powerful people. Right, whatever. I know successful business owners in town. They don't shy away from talking about their business. It's their baby. They physically cannot shut up about it. They love their skills, services, and products. I waved goodbye to all the creepy glazed over cheerful and went home, promptly receiving a survey to complete, which required me to submit all sorts of personal info, which I ignored. It was also not linked to any clear business or brand. The one thing about those schemes that grosses me out is how shameless you have to be about recruiting. Sure, business is cutthroat, but this type of business is more pathetic than anything else as it relies on the gullibility and desperation and complete trusting nature of others, in order to make those higher up the pyramid richer and more successful. The people at the bottom always get hurt the most, and that would be me, if I signed up. Herbalife is a great example of this. They straddle the legal line and leave a bad taste in people's mouths by promising things that very rarely materialize for most of the minions on the bottom. I still have yet to hear from her again. No surprise. I once lost rupees 10,000 in one of these scams. It happened when I was in 10th standard, 2012. One of my friends out of the blue one day called me and invited me to a motivational seminar, to which readily agreed, because I haven't been to such an event before. So we reached at a pretty big auditorium. As we entered, loud upbeat songs were playing in the hall. I was already hyped and feeling good. Then it started. The guy came up on stage and gave a pretty great motivation speech. I was genuinely motivated. Then it was time. He started telling us about this company which apparently sold online computer courses, which was okay at first, but then he started telling us that there's also a business part to this. That me, a dumb 16 years old kid, can earn up to 2.5 lakh rupees per week. I was all in. All I had to do was bring other naive people like myself and make them members under me by selling them those computer courses. I didn't know then that it was a scam. Now come to think of it, those courses were also bullshit. So the cost of buying the computer course was 10,000 rupees. I knew my dad wouldn't give me the money easily. So the guy who invited my friend told me to tell my dad that it is a very important course and I need it for school, and omit the part about its other side being a business scheme. As you all already would have guessed, it was a MLM scheme. And because of this scam, I lost 10,000 rupees in trust of my father for just a little while. Not me, but my mother. This was soon after she had given birth to my sister and was working full time, and a friend told her that with Jamberry, she would be making enough that she could quit her job and spend more time with my sister. My mom wasn't going to quit her job, but decided to do Jamberry on the side. She stocked up with so many nail wraps. She has an entire little photo album filled with samples, and she even hosted a Jamberry party once. I think she only sold 2 nail wraps at the time, and that was because her mill felt bad for her. After the party, she cried to my stepdad that she didn't think she could do it. She didn't recruit anybody, and after she'd shelled over however much for the starter kit, her upline basically disappeared and didn't help her out anymore. So my mom was by herself trying to sell all of these ugly and not very easy or quick to apply nail wraps. I don't think she sold more than 10 total in the half year she tried. She still has all of those wraps, and she's been trying to sell them on Facebook Marketplace, with no success. I felt so bad. She didn't know it was MLM, and I didn't know anything about them at the time. She really thought she'd make extra money. I met a great guy, or so I thought, on Match after college. He seemed to have his shit together, dressed well, and even owned his own business. A few weeks into dating, he invites me to meet some coworkers' Amway hotel meeting. I was very cautious and turned off, but he was already a decade deep in Amway and knew to play it slow and not pressure me to join. Just come meet my friends and business partners, which I did, against my and my friend's better judgment. His cohorts gassed him up and told me he was a platinum and making over 30K per year doing Amway part-time, though I would later find out this was, of course, a lie. I had not spoken to in a little while, sent me a message telling him to meet his brother for a great business opportunity. I was pretty busy with grad school applications, so I had to put it off for a while, but he was quite persistent. I figured Peter had my best interests in mind. He was my friend, and he was a very smart guy, so I ought to pay attention to his suggestion. I went to the meeting, and it was the standard MLM pitch, namely go all in with Amway, and you can make it big for yourself. You know the drill. When I learned the supposed job offer was really a pitch for me to become a customer, as anyone with half a brain should do in a minute, I realized Peter saw me as a dollar sign, and not a friend. Never spoke to him again, and most of the people I know who have had their time wasted on an MLM pitch have followed the same course, and ditched their MLM suggesting friend. If you actually follow the MLM pitch and look for opportunity everywhere, which in actuality means harass everyone you can find, you will soon have no friends, get fired from your real job, and get banned from all your local restaurants, coffee shops, etc. Even if you do make the big dollar, you won't. Is that really worth it? Around 2006, a friend of mine, Jay, was given a free sample of a certain healthy beverage from another friend of ours, W. Being the curious type, Jay decided to taste it. He mentioned to me that it was the worst thing ever drank, claiming that it reminded him of Old Welch's grape juice and soy sauce. For some reason W disagreed, so he ordered a couple of pallets of this, convinced that they would sell themselves. He couldn't sell a single bottle, and sadly they stayed in his garage for years. To make matters worse, the company expected payment for this order very quickly. I can't remember the exact total he owed, but it was ridiculously high, somewhere in the 5 figures. If that wasn't bad enough, we learned about a year later that the drink was toxic. The bottles that were used to bottle this stuff were laced with lead. Given the unique chemical composition of this drink, it actually leached the lead out of the bottles, so he basically was selling poison masquerading as a nutritional supplement. Last but not least, I learned that my friend decided to get a HELOC, home equity line of credit, to pay for these drinks. This was right before the housing bubble crashed in 2007. Nearly 10 years later, I still don't know if he ever was able to get rid of those drinks, or he was able to escape without losing his shirt. My upline taught me to spend most of my income to buy material things like expensive belts, bracelets, watches, buy branded shoes, bags, luxury cars, and he also told me to post everything on Facebook to entice people that I have the material things, so I can attract people. He said do not buy condos and properties, because you cannot bring it along, you cannot show it off to your prospects. He emphasized that the business must be operated by hype. He added saving money must be the last priority. He told me I should teach that concept, so we can have more enrollment, and bring in more people. When one of my downline followed the approach that he taught me, then I can start saving. I cannot believe what I heard from him. I have no idea how the business works, so I just followed his teachings. Very stupid of me to do that. I taught that to my downlines, and all of them quit the business. I lose a lot of downlines because of that concept he told me. I learned the hard way. Lesson learned: follow your gut. Stand for what is right. Some of my friends took summer jobs from the on-campus flyers offering $18 per hour with no experience. They haven't mentioned those jobs at all, they just act like it never happened. This is the common response. Not just with MLM, but whenever anyone goes for a new job, they never tell the old workmates how shit the job is. It's always how good it is. In the event it goes bad, you'll never hear it. It's just like it never happened. If pressed, they'll likely give a terse, succinct one-line response like it didn't work out, without any substance behind the response. About 10 years ago, I got sucked into a perfume party plan MLM, Voluntary. I didn't know about MLMs, and the recruitment meetings were so hyped up. In retrospect, quite cult-like. I told my upline that I was unsure about joining, because I didn't have my license at the time. She just said she would drive me to my parties. Yeah, right. So I forked out over $200 for a kit. I never did a single party. I realized quickly that I was just too embarrassed to try asking people to host a party, let alone run one. I knew fuck all about perfume. I was also encouraged to hijack my cousin's hen's night to host a party, but I couldn't do it in the end. A dildo MLM got in first, and I just wanted to enjoy the night. I ditched the MLM quickly, knowing I had been duped, and I was ready with a no, when a friend tried to rope me into Herbalife a year later. I had lost about 30 pounds on my own, and was looking to keep myself active in between working a full-time office job and being in college full-time. I had purchased a standalone Beachbody series, and it really kept me in shape. I dropped another 10-ish pounds, and my coach had been harassing me about joining her team for a while. I decided to do it for the discount on the shakes. The monthly fee was like $12, and it gave me 25% off my shakes. If I sold 3 bags a month, mine was free. All I wanted was the discount, and my upline was okay with that when I signed on. But my upline quickly pushed me for more. I had friends that wanted to see the results I had. I was real thin at this point, and when I graduated I got a real job, and also started pushing this stuff harder. I became obsessed and lost another 10 pounds before my wedding. I was way too tiny, my doctor was concerned, but my uplines kept encouraging me to share my success and whatnot. It became a constant environment of selfies and deep Facebook posts, and trying to be more original than all the other BB Huns out there. I honestly made decent money, since we didn't have to hold inventory. I paid off about $13K in student loans in 7 months, with just BB income. But my upline wanted more. I think she made more money if I had a team under me so she could rank up, and her upline was trying to hit like 3-star diamond in her 3rd business center, or some mumbo jumbo like that. They started encouraging me to sign my husband up and my mom, and run my shake orders through them to keep them active. It all got super cringy. They wanted me to push the products harder, and I honestly hadn't pushed very hard to earn what I did. My success, read. Eating disorder, sold the programs on their own. And after 8-ish months I quit. I quit right before a huge event where my upline's upline would have been announced as one of the most successful coaches or something. And she lost her rank because I quit. I felt kind of good about dropping that bomb. They both kept saying things like, you're going to hate being at your day job. Just stay with us. You can make more here, and I got so mad. I got a master's degree for my real job, and it's very fulfilling and pays me way better than $13K in 7 months. And I was a lucky one who didn't lose any money. There's so much more to the story, and I need to create post about it, but I haven't had the time to do it yet. My husband's aunt began selling ill. At first she was just so excited to talk about her business, and I was 17 at that time, and hadn't really encountered anything like this before, so I was excited for her too. Then she kinda roped me in, because I'm ill backwards anyways, used to, sometimes still do, make my own soap bar shampoos, and I used incense. This was so much XYZ than my stuff, and I could make money too. So I told her I'd think about it. Big mistake. I was hounded for months on when I'd be buying my kit, and what a great value it was. Eventually, I bought it. For a while she was ordering soaps from me, okay cool, wanting me to add different oils to them. So I did, after all, she knew what was safe, etc. Then I went to one of her DE parties, where she was making face scrubs with lemon oils, and some baking soda shampoo stuff, and finally all the red flags went off at once. Feel lemon on your face is harsh, so then I began researching. There's a reason sunscreens aren't made at home, Susan. And I was really mad, I was absolutely mad. She lied to me, really hurt my feelings. Said she'd done all this research. So I kind of just stopped being involved, and just told her I was focusing on building my actual business. Mind you, this is a couple years since the beginning. Yes, I was that stupid oblivious. That was that really. She messaged. After a long time saying, if I didn't place a $50 minimum order my account would be closed. A little over a year ago, I got sucked into World Financial Group. If you've never heard of them, they're basically like Primerica. Actually founded by a former Primerica guy. Some background, I'm a guy in my mid-20s. I got my bachelor's in industrial engineering, and moved out of state, to work in a large aerospace company. I wasn't completely alone. I had some family members living in Southern California, but I was completely lost with friends. The job was shitty but tolerable. The people ranged from okay to assholes. And I don't know if you've heard, but SoCal is expensive. I wasn't earning what I expected. I consider myself a smart guy. You can stop laughing now. So getting into it was a slow burn process. And by the height of it, I was brainwashed into a cult. I quit at the end of the year, moved somewhere more affordable, got a better paying job than the original aerospace company, and I'm slowly building up the damage done. I wanted to take some time to answer questions. A lot of this subreddit is laughing at the lame posts of faux success and terrible products, but I also want to give people insight to the cult aspect of it. The brainwashing camps they call training classes, the big spectacles of seminars designed to give you this almost religious experience. It's all pretty horrifying once you break down the manipulation. So please, ask away. I can speak only to my personal experience with multi-level network marketing. I was in Amway, aka, Scamway, for about 6 months. Their recruiting methods are deceitful. They don't want you saying it's Amway, not until they get the person to attend the first meeting. They justify this by saying Amway has gotten a bad reputation and they didn't want you to be biased before you heard the plan, as they call it. They have a bad reputation, at least some of the groups, not necessarily the company itself. From what I could tell, not many people made any money in Amway, even those that were in for 2 to 3 years. The diamonds make money, but they have a huge group below them. There are very few diamonds. You'll make more money selling lemonade on the side of the road than you will in Amway. By the time you invest in all the books, CDs tapes, and conferences, you could have started a real business, and made a little profit. Most everyone I knew in the business was in the hole. The Amway group I was in was very much like a cult. They wanted your complete allegiance. If that meant not interacting with your old friends or even family, then they expected it. I heard several people talk about this during the 6 months I was in. They would talk about ex-members and say they didn't really care about themselves or their family because they didn't show the plan to enough people and stick with it. They didn't work the business hard enough. My direct upline actually missed the birth of his daughter because he felt showing the plan was the most important thing, and that by doing that he was showing his family and his upline that he truly cared. That's insane. The Amway I was in was really a pyramid scheme.